You're listening to Navid Moosa of The Mindset Movement. Hey, good day, good people. My name is Navid Moosa. I'm your host today and always for the Mindset Movement, the podcast, and also on YouTube. I love the guest episodes. I love them because I get tired of my own voice. So it's good to hear someone else talk. Today, I got my man on, Fernando from Fernando Remote Helper. Fernando, let's just jump into it, man. So first, I love on your YouTube how you say, uh, yeah, I've done wholesaling, I've done contract flipping, I've done, out of state investing and in-state, all that stuff, and we're all trying to find our little niche of where we fit in the invest. Because when you say you're an investor, that's so broad, right?
Right.
And when you say real estate investing, it's usually you flip houses. Like but there's and you understand, there's so many nuances within real estate to make money off of.
Yep.
It's actually mind blowing, right? It is. So let's dive into you. What made you do what you do now, and how did you get here?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. So man, I don't even know where to start. I was listening to your podcast and you started all the way back in Uganda. So I don't know if I should go that far back. Talk about how my parents and my grandparents came from Mexico. I got here, shorter story, right? Where graduated as an engineer, checked all the boxes. It's your typical story of, we didn't really know any other way. And then after engineering, I had a really nice gig working with companies like Tesla and SpaceX.
Okay.
And then just thought, like, I was 24. It's like, man, it has to be another way. So I don't know. I guess that's really it. The thought process of there has to be another way. That's what essentially got me here, because I just always ask that question, right? So let's say if I have a job, it's a good job, and I'm like, all right, well, is this it, or is there has to be another way? Because it wasn't the lifestyle that I think I wanted. And so really, like, figuring out, what do I want or what don't I want, right? What lifestyle do I want and what lifestyle don't I want? And as I started to, like, really through experiences, you start to map that out. Like, I don't really like doing this, and I like doing this. It's like, I don't like doing that, and then you start adjusting. And so when it came to real estate investing, man, I couldn't, if you look at a building and you're like, oh yeah, that looks like it needs this much square footage, I can do this. And, like, you can get so strategic. I'm not that person necessarily, but I know there's people like that who can, like, really, really deconstruct a building and its square footage and all this stuff. But those weren't skill sets that I had, nor was it the way that I wanted to get into real estate. Since I was, like, just starting out. Airbnb was awesome, but we had just had a kid. So I wasn't going to make the excuse of, like, oh, we just had a kid, I can't get into real estate, just because but Airbnb had certain management things. So, right, everything, there's pros. There's a lot of significant pros. Flips, you can make a lot of money. There's a lot of management, right? Airbnb, you can make a lot of money, but there's more turnover, like more management on that side. So there's just certain things that for the lifestyle that my wife and I wanted to have at the time when we are having this baby, this model came up, which is like house hacking. So it's not like a brand new model.
Yeah.
It's just house hacking remotely. House hacking when you live in the house is easy because you live there, you live nearby. And so you can house hack. And I think you house hack too for a little bit, right?
Yep.
So, like, it's just the house hacking model, man, but we can do it remotely. And we have systems, processes, people, software that help us manage a house hack remotely.
Oh, there you go. So let's go back to your initial comment. You said there has to be another way. I mean, you work for freaking Tesla and SpaceX. I mean, any other quote unquote normal person would say, it's Tesla. Why would you ever want to quit Tesla? It's SpaceX. Why do you want to quit?
Yeah.
But let's dive into your comment of there has to be another way. Another way for what? When you say that there has to be another way,
man, has to be another way to live life.
Yeah. So what was wrong with working at Tesla? What was wrong working there?
It's just it didn't sit well with me. The belief that I'll have 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of vacation a year, and I have to wait till I'm 65 to take a 3-month vacation in Europe. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. And it's like, okay, like, put away into your 401k. And I was, putting away to my 401k, but, like, what's the 401k for? Oh no, it's because when you're 65, dude, you'll be able to use that money. I'm like, oh, but what if I want to use it now? Like, I was 24, 20, like, think about telling a 24-year-old, like, dude, no, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, delayed gratification is great. We should definitely have delayed gratification. But again, that didn't, in my mind, I was like, there has to be another way. There's no way that every single human being in the United States right now is putting money away into a 401k, waiting till they're 65 to enjoy it. Like, there has to be another way. And I think I just didn't know those people. I didn't know who they were, but I
There you go.
believed that they existed, because there's no way that a 24-year-old had these thoughts and I'm original. Like that, I wasn't that whatever the word is, egotistical, I was like, oh my gosh, I just made up this brand new belief. No, there were people I just didn't know they existed. I didn't know who they were. But yeah, that's why.
Yeah, so that's and I it's hard to not necessarily verbalize that, but you put that in writing because there's just something inside of you, right? There's some kind of feeling, like you said. There's like, I know this is, I mean, this is cool. I work at a good job and this is fine. So yours with SpaceX for me was, a credit union. And for me, it was, I'm there and I'm like, yeah, I'm making good money, but like you said, there has to be a better way to make this kind of money
Right.
without me working, a graveyard shift or weekends and having these. I was on the IT side. So we had releases and all that kind of stuff to work on and software updates or whatever. And so it was like, and it was this like burning sensation or burning desire, if you will, to get out and just do
Yeah.
something different. So why real estate? I mean, you could have done this, and like you said, there's tons of way past it. I'm thinking you think you tried e-commerce or you do e-commerce, and so there's so many different facets. What made you land on real estate?
Man, as my financial education, got up, you started thinking about like, what are the different ways to make that one asset can make you money. So when we think about, you could go put into stocks, and when stocks go up, you can sell, and then things like that. But then I was like, but then you have to pay taxes on that. And then you start again, as you get more into it, there's four ways to make money in real estate: cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, and then your principal pay down. And so when you really break it down, you like start writing down all the asset classes, and you start writing, how many ways can I make money in this asset class, right? Maybe you'll get one or two, but like four ways to make money in a single asset class.
Yeah,
Like, there's not that many. Maybe there's oil. I haven't really looked into like the oil and gas world.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but I know there's a lot of potential in the oil and gas world. But anyways, so that's why I got into real estate, because it was a direction that for me financially made sense. I think I was trying to break down like who am I, and like why do I enjoy certain things that I do. And maybe you can speak to this as well, but like I enjoy like solving problems. I enjoy like figuring out puzzles. I enjoy like playing games and then like finding out the most efficient way to play a game. And so I think that's what real estate is, or that's what it's all a means, to some other end. And then you just like maybe at your level, you're playing the game to play the game. Maybe you don't even need to play the game anymore.
yeah. Now, so just what you just said, you're always looking for something to be more efficient.
Right.
Trust me, there's a lots of times I wish I could just get like a mindless job. Just to just go and be the, just boom, just what I need to do, just tell me what
Just
to do, I'm gonna get done. And that's it. But I know I won't because I'll
Can
do it.
somebody else tell me what to do, please?
Exactly, exactly. But then I'm like, I know, like, this can be done better. And this gets just it's always that thing. And the story I tell people about that is years ago when I kind of gave up, I was like, real estate sucks, it's not for me. And I quit quote unquote real estate.
Yeah.
I went to go get a job at a bank, and I just went there to be there, what's called a check sorter. So basically, just all the checks that come in, you put them in a machine that reads the micro numbers and it spits it out. That's all I wanted to do. That was it. It just simple. Just give me the paper, boss. Let me run it through the machine. And
No
that was it.
risk. No risk. I mean,
Nothing. I no responsibilities, no employees, nothing. I was, this is great. That's all I wanted to do. And so go and apply for the job, and the person I interview with, she looks at it, she was like, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, and it threw me off. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, this is your resume. You have this experience, but you want to do this? I'm like, yes. This is what I don't want to do anymore. This is it. This is all I want to do. She was like, no. And so they're like, we have this position opening up. It's gonna be a manager. I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. But that's in us, like you said, it's in us. It's kind of like I would be happy at that job for like a week, and then I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? It's
right.
just like solving puzzles, answering people's problems. You're right. That's what that's actually, I've never thought about that, Fernando. You just said it right now. I think that's an innate ability for entrepreneurs in general, maybe just real estate specific, that we like seeing something and like, okay, how can we maximize the living BS out of this thing,
Yeah.
make it the most efficient thing, the most attractable thing that, hey, if down the road someone wants to buy it, I it's added value to it. But if not, I'm still cool keeping it.
Right, right, right,
You
right.
know, so but you know, you're absolutely right, man. I think there's something inside of everybody that is a problem solving, right?
Mhm.
It is that problem solving when we look at something. And I'm like you, I can't look at a building and be like, oh, this would be nice to have this color here and this paint here. I got a designer for that. But I look at an asset class, like you said, I look at an asset class and be like, okay, short term, long term, corporate rental. How
Yeah,
can it cash flow, whatever it is, and kind of go from
right.
there?
Your cabin, the cabin, your kind of strategy you're
Yeah,
checking out.
yeah, so all those different things. So you had meant, you said you have systems and stuff like that in place for, like, to out of state house hacking. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, can you break down your system without giving away your secrets if you don't mind? But yeah, let's talk about it.
No, the only secret I can give away based off the conversation is the software, right?
Okay.
Because even though it's not a secret, I would totally say it. But it's really the team. So like it starts with like, what kind of life do we want to live? Well, the life I wanted to live was, I didn't want to make $100 a door, didn't want to make $300 a door, didn't want to make $500 a door. How do I make more than $1,000 per door, like per property, let's say,
Mhm.
right? And with and work less than 5 minutes a month. Like, how do I do that? It's like, well, the only way to do that is to know how to build a team out. It's like, okay, so like, what kind of team do I need? Like, I need an agent. I need boots on the ground. I need a contractor that I trust. I need a property manager that I trust. I can get work done on weekends. I wanted to like certain communication skills with, so like the pretty much not the CEO, but like the VP of the contractor GC, like I'm on a text basis with him. The CEO or founders of the property manager, text basis with them. So like I wanted these certain things with the team that I set up, so it could feel like, I what's the word? Steve Jobs says, hire smart people so they tell you what to do.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure like I was hiring the smart people that would tell me what to do. And then I'm just like, the business owner. And but the business owner who treats his people well, treats his contractors well, right? Like told my property manager, hey, you're not charging me enough, because I said I want you to eat. Like, they got kids, I'm making money. I don't need to make a couple $100 more, because I'm building. I don't care about one property, right? I'm building
Yeah,
multiple
correct.
properties.
Yeah.
And I want, as I scale, I want them to also scale, and I want them to be like taken care of. Because they used to charge me 5%, and now they charge me 8%,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
which I'm totally okay with.
Yeah.
So that the systems are like, how do I source properties? How do I analyze them? Like, I have a whole, the whole spreadsheet. So there's a method to that madness. When I check in with my contractor, estimated rehab, check with my property manager. Hey, what do you think about these zip codes? How are the properties performing around these zip codes? So like, that's what I mean by a process. So when I'm putting an offer into a property, there's people that I check with, checking potential, weekly or monthly rents in the area for the house hack that I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
That's what I mean by a process. And then boom, we put the offer in. There's all like, that's what I mean. Like, it's like do 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 do, and then if it hits a wall at some point, property manager says, "Hey man, I wouldn't trust that area," or "Hey, things aren't performing well there." Boom, like drop that zip code, drop that house and street, because I don't live where I invest. I've never been to a Georgia,
Correct.
never been to Atlanta, never been to Georgia. I mean, I'll use Google Maps and Street View,
Yeah.
but it's not like I'm driving around that neighborhood. So that's what I mean by systems, and like, I'm really relying on the people, on the trust, the team that I built out. And then let's say once I get into a property, so there's a whole system to get to the offer. Once I have the offer, like once I have the property, obviously I have my lenders as well that I work with. Then at that point, it's what are the systems I have to launch my property? How quickly from purchase, can I get through rehab? Even through rehab, like today or this week, we actually just closed on a property last week. I have to set up utilities, right? So now, like, I have a VA who I connect with, that I've created like a standard operating procedure for, so that they can go ahead and help me set up utilities. So like, that's what I mean by systems. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what else? And then to get the property live, get the photos taken. Like there's every step of the way, it's got to be a whole process. So that way you break it up into chunks, create standard operating procedures, and then I can hand them off to different people as I scale up. As I scale up, I say, okay, like acquisitions to offer, boom, let me get an acquisitions manager. So I'm preparing all that up here, even though I don't have it yet. I know
Yeah,
I'm going to need it. Does that make sense?
absolutely. So I get 100%. I'm a systems guy, so I get it. For those who are listening who don't, or who are just thinking, because I don't know, easily twice a week I get a phone call, email. How do you scale? How do you do this? And it's kind of like, number one, VAs. Like VAs are like your lifeline. I just can't say enough. The hardest thing, and maybe you can help expand on this. The hardest thing I get people to try to understand is that, number one, you're in your own way, right? So you have to get out of your way. The way you do that is that when you're trying to scale your business, when you're trying to whether outsource it to out of state investing, whatever it may be, you have to spend the time with training. Like you said, you have an operating agreement essentially between you and the VAs on how you do everything. A lot of the time, the entrepreneurial person was like, I'll just do it myself. I'll do it myself. When you want to do it yourself, just do a screenshot, like record the screen that you're doing and do everything on it, because you have to create those manuals essentially.
Right.
And if you take that time to set it aside, just that one time to create that manual, it could take you a couple of hours, and let's be honest, when we have to do something like that and kind of slow down to do something that we can rip through in 30 seconds to do for 1 hour, because we have to make sure it's nicely said and it's makes
Yeah.
understand, that drives us nuts. And that drives us
It's
freaking
the
crazy. We're like, yeah, we're like, no,
tedious stuff.
I can just do this right now, real quick, and like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who is struggling to get
Mm,
a VA, someone who's struggling to embrace that growth factor of, it's
mm,
okay to let go of some of these processes? Like, how do you comfort them? What can you say
yeah.
to that? What can you say to that person?
Man, huh. That's and there's so many things there. What do I say? Huh? It's um man, I've always had this belief that like uh leadership, I guess I would probably say like go like the five levels of leadership. The
Okay.
book. You read it before?
I have not.
No, it's just like there's five levels of leadership, and first level is like you have a title. Second level, people like you. Third level is like you can build up other leaders, and then like there's fourth and fifth levels. So in my head, it comes down like who do you want to be, and it's like for me, I can only speak to myself because again, the people who are listening, I don't know their specific situation, so I don't generalize advice,
Yeah.
but for me, I didn't want to like my goal was to work 0 minutes and have a business. So if I'm doing the small stuff, then I'm not working 0 minutes. So then I have to delegate. Like that's just like simple for the life that I chose that I want to live. So, but if that doesn't work, then like the person who's listening has to find out like, well, what are your goals? So then the second thing would be like, well, do you want to be a leader? In order to be a leader, then you need to lead other people. And like, what kind of leader do you want to be? So like for me, I also want to be a leader. I want to be a level 4 or 5 leader where I can raise other leaders to be leaders in their own capacity. So what does
Nice.
that mean? That means like I'm training a VA, but not only training a VA to do a task, but I'm training them to feel empowered that they can make a task more efficient than I left it. Right. But am I giving them the space to make mistakes? Am I giving them the space to come up with ideas on their own and validating them, even if they're not as good as my ideas? It's not about that. It's about me being the best leader I can be for them. So, but it comes down to whoever's listening to this, right? Who, what do you want? Who do you want to be? Right. And then like, because if that's not strong enough, then you're going to find yourself in the smallest details. But if you realize that the way that you can have the biggest impact is to not do those small details, then you're going to be too focused on the impact you want to have than the details you're focusing on.
If you just listen to that, rewind it, listen to it again. If you're watching this right now, you need to listen to what this man just said. I cannot tell you the percentage or the lack of percentage of people who get what you're saying. Real leaders create leaders. Simple as that. Simple as that. You don't get VAs or people you think to knock them down and they keep them down. You empower them. And listen to it like 4 or 5 times. Rewind it to when he started and listen to it again. I'm dead serious. I've had tons of guests, Fernando. Let me tell you, that there is the favorite remark and answer of all time. I've been doing this. That was great.
Thanks, man.
That was great. That's beautiful. That's what that really is. That's legit beautiful stuff. Because, and it, not to get political, emotional, or anything like that, but damn, like, you get it. You really, really get it. A lot of times, it's like going to the gym. You leave your ego at the door. You leave your pride at the door. When those weights are going to beat the living crap out of you if you are just saying, I can lift you, I can take you on every single day. When you get a VA, when you grow your systems, when you outsource so much, you have to have a level of control and a level of understanding that the people you hire aren't always going to stay in that position, nor do you want them to.
Hmm.
You want them to elevate. So that first VA you get, hopefully that's your supervisor VA down the road. So
Yeah.
you can get them two VAs, so they can manage it. Just like you train that one VA, when you need to grow, instead of you say, okay, let me train this new person. Hey, guess what? You know good enough, you can train it. And
Yep.
you check your ego because you're not perfect, and you understand that what you have on paper looks dope. It's good. It'll get you to grow. But as your business grows, the time moves on, and the investing strategies move on. New softwares are out there, and we can't be everywhere.
Right.
But like you said, how can I work 0 minutes but make $1 million essentially, right? How do we do that?
Yeah.
Just to think that, bro, just to think that thought tells me where you are at and where you are going. And that's what I said. I want people to, if the, I mean, the people who listen to this podcast are all over the place. They are truck drivers, nurses, stockbrokers, insurance brokers, real estate investors, wholesalers, flippers, developers, everything, right? And so some of them don't understand how to even get that thought, that mind, that space within their mind. And so that's why I was like, go back and rewind and listen to that, because that was a lot. I mean, I get it and I understand it, and I
Yeah.
couldn't put it any better way than you just did it.
All right.
That was awesome. That
No,
was
thanks.
awesome right there. So yeah, man, damn, dude, that was great. And
Stop.
that's what I want to
Stop
bring on
recording.
this.
Stop recording.
Yeah, but that's what I want to bring. I want to bring that energy and that mindset to the show, and to people to understand that, hey, listen, just because you got a good ass job, just because you work for a big firm or a big company, whatever, that doesn't mean that's all you're meant for. And if you're
Mhm.
happy with that, that's cool. There's nothing wrong. They're happy as long as you're happy.
Right.
As long as you're happy. But if you are just every morning you wake up saying, "What if only," you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got to answer that question. To me, you got to answer that question.
Yeah.
You got to answer that question. That there's got, like you said, there's got to be a better way. There's got
Gotta
to
be
be
better.
something. There's got to be something better out there. It can't be just this. And like you said, so let me get this straight. I'm 24 years old. I'm making this money. I'm going to put this in a 401k. So I really don't start living my life till I'm 65 years old. That's what you're telling
Yeah.
me. All this money that I'm making, I can't touch it until I'm 65. Nope, not gonna work
And
for me, boss.
and on top of that, I realized, and concept of money, I was very privileged as a kid, even though my parents came from Mexico. But like the concept of money, like we didn't really struggle as a kid. Even though my dad was a
Gotcha.
real estate agent, struggled from the real estate market. I didn't feel that. And so
Gotcha.
I didn't have a concept of money. So when I heard $100,000, because you can make that as an engineer. I think coming out, I was making like 90. And then you start finding out like, wait, I can't buy a Lambo with this salary. Like, wait, hold on. Like, what do you mean? I can't afford the beach house, but if this is like the best thing I could do, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're an engineer, like you're gonna go graduate and be an engineer, like you're gonna make bank, you're gonna make all this money, like you're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
for life. And I'm thinking, all right, cool, like I'll be the guy who can own a Lambo now. And then I realized that like $100,000 salary doesn't really get you much. I mean, even a $200,000 salary, if that's tax, if that's W-2, then you're back at $100,000 salary. And you can't afford Lambo, you can't afford a beach house, because then so that's when again all those things started to come into my mind of like, not that I'm 30 now, I don't want a Lambo, but 24, of course, everybody wants a
Yeah,
Lambo.
obviously, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, but just that realization that the people who own that stuff, or the people who have a beach house or whatever, like they don't they don't have this regular job. And again, that's why I was thinking like there has to be a better way. because like shoot, I was doing this thinking I would get this end result, because that's just what my society and like the people closest to me who cared about me, which is not a bad thing, you know, they moved me in that direction. You have any kids, by the way, Navid?
I do. I have two boys. I have a 9-year-old and a 15-year-old.
So yeah, question for you, and I don't know if this is off script, but I don't know if this is off topic, but I was curious because I have a 17-month-old,
Okay.
of course, way baby. But how, you know, your 15-year-old is in high school,
Yep.
and your you know, your feelings towards us, their schooling, education, and system, and like what they're ingraining in your son versus, you know, the life that you're actually living, because the life that you're actually living, they'll never teach this right now in school, right? Even though it's so practical and you're learning math, you're learning shapes, you're learning all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Practical things, but he's not being taught it. Now, is that the responsibility of a parent solely, or is that responsibility of a school? Like, how are you approaching this? Right. I'm just curious to get your
No,
thought.
absolutely. And I'm glad you asked. So in our household, so we're opposites in the sense where my wife is very pro college education in the traditional form, right? Because it did well for her. I'm anti that in the sense of where I don't think they give you, like you said, the real world. To answer your question, I think it's the responsibility of the parent
Mm,
to to do those things. The school's responsibility is to get some basics in, 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3, divided, all that, the basics there. But
right.
how do you take that and parlay that into your life, right?
Mm,
We understand as life goes on that um, you will be using a lot of math in your world, no matter what it is, and English and whatever.
yeah.
Obviously, to a 15-year-old, when am I when am I going to use trig? When am I going to use geometry? When am I going to use this stuff? And you're right. Yeah. Are you going to
Shakespeare.
use 100%? Yeah. You can 100%? Absolutely not. But I feel it's, and I say me, my responsibility because I'm the quote unquote entrepreneur. I'm the one who has the flexible schedule. And if I want to give my children opportunities, right?
Mhm.
And that's why I tell them, say, listen, I'm not going to give you anything. Nothing was given to me. I'm not going to give it to you, except I will do my best to give you opportunities. If you seize them, that's on you. If you don't, that's also on you.
Yeah.
The tools are all going to be there. So we are also fortunate enough in our school district that they do teach the differences between leasing a car and buying a car, renting an
Mm,
apartment, and the mortgages. There's a finance class.
really?
Yes, okay, I was blown away. I'm like, wait, what? And when I saw that it was available for freshmen, I'm like, you're signing up for that. I don't
That's
care
like,
what you can do underwater basket weaving for all I care, but you're taking this finance class. And my son was like, oh no, dad, I love what you do. So I'm going to take it. And it was this class. Now listen to this. This is a finance class that was started now, as I speak to you, five
yeah.
years ago. It
Oh,
was
okay.
started 5 years ago by kids who graduated from that high school. And they
Mm,
said they graduated from high school, came back a year later, said, you guys didn't prep us. There's
yeah.
all this stuff you didn't do. And
Life
kudos to the school. The school was like, oh crap, we failed you.
to accepting the feedback. Yeah.
Exactly. So they created a course and they hired a teacher and
Wow.
they created a curriculum. And so now my son for his freshman year, he learned about, and he was asking, which is a beautiful thing. He's like, Dad, do you own your car? Do you lease your car? And I'm like, I knew he was going with it. And so I was like, we own our car. We don't lease. We never lease because of the mileage and all this other stuff. And so
Yeah.
he's like, well, I learned this. I'm like, that's great. And he's like, how much is the mortgage? What's our interest rate of the mortgage of the house? And he's
Oh, wait. He's asking
yeah,
these
he's
questions. That's
asking at 14, right? He's asking us
yeah.
14 what our interest rate is, what the amortization schedule is. And then he's asking about the rentals. He's like, can I come with you when you go collect rent? I'm like, I don't really collect rent. I have a property management company. They collect the rent.
Yeah.
I said, so they take it. I said, but they even have a software. So over the summer, he's now 15. Over the summer, he interned with me. I said, hey, listen, you're going to come with me and you're going to learn. We have a staff meeting every Wednesday. So
Yeah.
on Wednesdays, he came with me and he listened to all the projects that we're doing, that we're evaluating. And he's
Yeah.
there and he's like, he puts his hand up like he's like, I have a question. I have a question.
And it was just the two of you. He's
It
like,
was,
I have a question.
I have a question. I'm like, son, I said, you don't have to ask, you don't have to raise your hand. He's like, I said, wait, you know what? I'm glad you're doing that. So let's keep with it. So it was just a thing. So again, and the long answer is yes. I believe it's our responsibility as a parent to give our children opportunities and options. I tell
Right.
my kids, I didn't, my story, I've dropped out of high school, I failed my senior year in high school. I had to repeat it. Went to college 3 times. Dropped out all 3 times. My wife graduated top of her class,
Mm,
degree and all that good stuff there. So 2 different avenues of educating ourselves, but with the
right,
same goal in mind.
right.
Our kids, and we both endorse this, our kids are told, listen, you don't necessarily have to go to college to get a degree, but if anything, at least go and learn about marketing and
Mhm,
finance. Because no
mhm,
matter what you do, those are 2 foundational things of any business:
yeah.
marketing and finance, marketing and finance. So that is the best way that
Mhm,
we tell them is you don't have to get a degree, but if you're going to at least go to school to learn, because you don't want anyone to manage your money for you and you don't know what you're looking at, right?
right.
Because you don't know if they're telling you BS stories. And I mean, I had money stolen from me well over 6 figures because I didn't put the time and effort into learning how bookkeeping and CPA stuff works. So I
Mhm,
learned that skill and I'm very good at it. God bless. And marketing was the other thing. So they both know that when they're done with high school, they should at least get 2 years of college in them for marketing and finance. And
right.
then whatever money we've set aside for them, they can start their own business, come into the family business, do whatever. I don't want to handcuff them. We don't want to handcuff them.
Right.
But we at least want to give them a good foundation that if you want to become a barista the rest of your life and you're happy, you're paying your own bills, become a barista. I don't care. As long as you're a contributing member to society is our message. So hopefully that answers your questions at that. But yeah, it is 100% our responsibility. It is.
Yeah, and I think it's
Yeah.
probably a conversation for another time, but the sad part of that, right, is that there's so, because it is part of our responsibility as parents, that's where like our kids have well certain levels of privilege that we as parents like took these steps to get to the level of awareness that you and your
Yeah.
wife are. And then it's just like for no fault of the other kids, they may not have the same opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just that realization of like, dang it, like, but whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's a
That's
problem to solve that's above us, kind of.
you have I was just told yesterday, last week, you have a pastor's heart. That's what I was told. You have a pastor's heart because you care about everybody, you want to make everybody, like, hey, I had this great opportunity here. I want you to be part of that opportunity.
Yeah.
And Fernando, you gotta be careful of that, bro. I'll tell you right now, it could really consume you. It sucks, right? Because you're like, wait, so you don't want to be a nice guy? No, I want you to be a nice guy. It's just
Yeah.
that sometimes we can't save everybody.
Right.
And I'm only 10 years older than you, but that 10 years is a lot more in a mental way than people
That's a lot of
realize.
life, man.
It's
That's
a
a lot.
lot of life. Exactly. It's a lot of
That's a
life.
25% increase. It's not just 10 years, it's a 25% increase of
Yeah.
my life.
Yeah, you're a numbers guy, so you understand that right there. It is. In 10 years, you're like, yo, I've been there, done that. So if you take away anything from our convo today, man, is that you can't save everybody. God bless you for trying to do it, but concentrate on what you can. And those who really want to know, they'll come in, they'll knock on your door, they'll DM you and say, hey, listen, I'm interested.
Right.
And then that's the ones you say, okay, let's talk. And you give them 15 minutes of your time. And if they run with it, great. If they don't, done. You
Yeah.
have you, your wife, and your kid. And if you guys are blessed with another one, so be it. Um, it's just one of those things where you can't save everybody, unfortunately. You just can't,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. You gotta be careful with the energy. With the
Yeah,
energy,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
so we're limited with the energy. Right.
So we're gonna wrap this up. I do want the first of all, thank you for your time. I know we are on 2 different coasts here, so I know it's early over there. Probably not early for you because you're probably used to the schedule being up at this time. Um, I would like you to give a tidbit of wisdom to anyone who's thinking about getting into the business of investing. What would
Mm.
you tell them to think about?
Yeah, think about I guess I'll say a story. And it's a story about how they used to catch monkeys. You know the story?
No.
No, so it's a way that they used to catch monkeys. I haven't dove into the story as to why they wanted to catch the monkeys, but aside the point, they used to catch the monkeys. So they would get a jar and they'd attach like a rope to a jar and they'd put a banana inside the jar. So the monkeys would come and they'd stick their hand into the jar and they'd grab the banana. But when they make the fist and to grab the
Couldn't get it
banana,
out.
they no longer can get their fist out. And so they would get caught. And so the advice that I would give is take a look at your life and take a look at, what banana you're holding on to that's preventing you from living a life of freedom, right?
Nice.
what's catching you? You know, what's the banana? And so for my wife and I was we only had $65,000 that, and it was just my wife's money. I was a full-time entrepreneur at the time. You go down roads. I was I was probably 20K in debt. I yeah, just didn't have a job, made $300 in 6 months, but my wife had money.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey babe, you gonna use all that money yourself, or what's up? And because so anyways, long story short, we used that money to buy our first out-of-state investment property. We'd never bought a house, we'd never invested, we'd never owned a home, we'd never been through the buying process, we'd never been to Atlanta, never been to Georgia. Like, there's never understood them. Like, there's so many things, of so many reasons why somebody would say not to do something.
Yeah.
But we had to just take a look. Like, that $65,000 was the banana. And we were so afraid of, I want to say we were so afraid, but the mindset was, if we don't let go of this, no, and we don't know for sure if it would go in the positive direction or the negative direction, but we know that if we continue holding on, it will not get us to where we want to go.
There you go.
And so we had to let go. I mean, luckily for us, man, it's been the best investment that we've ever made in our life, you know, and we're both, you know, happy.
That's
with
awesome,
that.
man. So where can people find you? What's your Instagram, TikTok? What's your handles?
Yeah. So on Instagram at it's Fernando Corona, ITS Fernando Corona, and yeah, catch me there. I try to give a lot as well, right? Give a lot, just like you. And yeah,
All right,
thanks for having
cool.
me on, man.
Thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Tell the wife and the little 17-month-old said hello.
Yeah.
And listen, guy, yeah, man. Listen, each and every week we do our best here on at the Mindset Movie to give you guys some kind of value, whether it be in a 5-minute excerpt or an hour excerpt, doesn't matter. We do our best. And today, I apologize to other podcasts, but damn, this was good. Like, you gave some really, really good info today. Thank you very much. Check him out. Like he said, it's Fernando Corona. It's Fernando Corona.
Corona. Yeah.
It's for the ITS.
That
Fernando
last name
Corona.
just had a better ring to it before we
Yeah.
people think of the beer. Now they think of
Yeah,
the
there you go. Check him out. Send him a message. He's a helper. He's a giver, stuff like that. And he says he's got systems in place for out-of-state investing. So if you guys are interested in it, maybe hit him up. Maybe you can JV, partner up, take some of his expertise, take some of your cash and stuff like that. Maybe you can invest with him. I don't know. It's on him to deal with that. So have a great one. Enjoy the rest of your week, brother. Enjoy it all. And please, let's do it again. Let's do it again, you know, stuff like that. Any kind of projects you got going on,
Absolutely,
let me
man.
know offline, and then we'll see. You know, we can do a follow-up on and go from there.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Navid. I appreciate it, man.
Take care of yourself. You have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right, man.